Welcome back to the weekend edition of the Cabral Concept. I'm happy to join you here today for our Cabral House Calls, answering our community's questions now for over 5 years, about 5 years, almost 5 years. We've been answering our global health community's questions. Everybody that tunes into the Cabral Concept, if you have a question, I am happy to answer that for you. Typically, it's about 6 weeks in the queue before your question gets answered live in this podcast. Remember, my answers come straight from my experience, from my gut. I'm not going back. I'm not researching. Believe it or not, this is the very first time I will have read your question. So it's essentially going back kind of into my memory bank of all the different people that I've worked with this specific issue and giving you exactly what you should be looking at in terms of a second opinion, an alternative, not a diagnosis, not a treatment protocol, but something that you are able to look at your health-based condition in a new light so that hopefully you find the answers that you are looking for. So excited to be doing that today, and I'm going to dive right into the questions. Again, like I said, about 6 weeks or so behind. And that's exactly where we're at. So this question came in on October 20th. We are now looking at somewhere around, November 28th or so. And again, I want you to read, you can tune in to all of the different questions by going to today's show notes page. So if you're on YouTube, you can obviously just watch it below the video. But if you go to stephencabral.com/1758, you can follow along with all the different questions. Okay, so let's get right into it. First question's from Ryan. Always dedicated to trying to get a half a dozen questions per day, 12 questions for the weekend. Okay, first question from Ryan. Let's see it here. Hello, Dr. Cabral. Enjoying the new Thursday interview podcast. Thanks for all you do. My question is in regards to people with Graves' disease who have had radioactive iodine ablation. Thanks to you, I understand the workings of the HPA and HPT axis and triggers solutions for autoimmune conditions within the framework of our lifestyle habits and epigenetics. So this, Ryan, sounds like someone that's gone through IHP, which is great because most people don't know about the HPA, HPT, which just simply stands for the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis and the hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis, which is how the adrenals talk to the thyroid and the thyroid talks to the adrenals through the brain, up and down, up and down. Remember, your body is not made up of singular glands. It's made up of interconnected systems. When conventional medicine eventually puts that together, then I think we're going to be able to help a whole lot more people. For now, well, not for now, not that it's a bad thing, but like you really go to your medical doctor for acute life-saving conditions, but you really need an IHP, an integrative health practitioner, or to be looking at the natural health side of things. You really do. Because this radioactive iodine ablation, basically, we're going to go through it, I'm sure, with Ryan's question, but essentially you're killing your thyroid because it's malfunctioning at the time. Like it doesn't make any sense, but let's get into it. All right, my question is simply this. In your clinical experience, have you had clients regain normal thyroid function after having their thyroid ablated without needing thyroid medication? When I had this procedure a few years ago, I was told I would be on thyroid medication forever since the ablation apparently induces a permanent hypothyroid state. I've been on Nature Thyroid for a while and I'm doing well, but wanted to see if a protocol 12 to 16 weeks with a daily thyroid support and potentially an additional thyroid glandular could help heal my thyroid and allow me to wean off Nature Thyroid. I understand this could work for typical hypothyroid or Hashimoto clients, but could this work for those that have had radioactive iodine ablation? My goal is to eventually be off thyroid medication for good and use supplements as the stressors of life see fit. Thanks. Ryan, great question. Obviously, you're super knowledgeable and love being able to answer these questions. So, okay, let's look at it this way. It's completely insane. Graves' disease is basically, let's call it an autoimmune issue, but your thyroid is overactive, okay? So when you look at your TSH number, it's typically below a 0.5, and that shows that there's too much activity going on with that thyroid that should not be happening. Excuse me. I'm getting all choked up. But we know there's always an underlying root cause. But what conventional medicine says is like, okay, well, we don't know how to fix this, so we're just going to destroy the thyroid with radioactive thyroid ablation, which basically means we're destroying the thyroid so it can't produce normal hormone anymore. So then what do we need to do? Well, then we need to give the person thyroid hormone again. It's completely backwards. But anyway, not everyone will recover from that. And the reason is that there's been a permanent change potentially to the thyroid. So if your thyroid can't make any more thyroid hormone because you've disfigured the thyroid, then you might have to be on and the best thing that you could be taking then is the daily thyroid glandular, or basically you're taking a glandular right now with the Nature Thyroid. So honestly, only time will tell. You'll have to go through the protocol, work the protocol, see if you still have enough of your thyroid left to produce enough thyroid hormone. And then also, I would say, look, again, you're not on something bad, but it's like, could you be even more natural? Like, can you be on the thyroid glandular, the thyroid protocol that you know about? So that's potential. What I would want you to do though, Ryan, is go through the new Thyroid Rebalancing Health Accelerator. Make sure that you've looked at all the underlying root causes, the heavy metals, the liver toxicity, go through all of the different causes that I outlined there and the steps, and it will get such an in-depth knowledge of your thyroid, and you'll definitely know what you need to do. And again, if it hasn't been permanently disfigured, it can be fixed. Just keep in mind, I've had my I've had my tonsils removed and my adenoids removed, and I was also put on 3,000 capsules of amoxicillin. My innate gut bacteria is never coming back. Okay. It's just not. Now I have good bacteria in my gut. I put it there. I am eating the foods to keep it there. I will never get back my adenoids, and I'll never get back my tonsils. So we have to understand is those things have been permanently changed to my body. All I can do now is compensate to the best of my ability. Do I wake up with a puffy face right around here every single morning? Yes, I do. And I'm perfectly healthy. But I don't have any adenoids. My nasal passages, I have a deviated septum. When they were doing my adenoids, they were actually broken bones in my nose. I didn't need any more broken bones in my nose. I already had those when I was younger. But anyway, we have to it's kind of and I know that I'm going on and on, but we have to be able to do our best with what life hands us. I'm not upset about having my adenoids out. I'm not upset about having my tonsils out. I'm not upset about all the 3,000 capsules of amoxicillin I had that totally destroyed my gut bacteria. Because I learned from it, and I'm better because of it. I really am. I feel that way. At least I tell myself that I am, and I believe it. So it works, right? So Ryan, I want to give you that, and I wish you all the best. And no matter what, I know you're going to do great. No doubt about it. All right, Rye is up next. R-I-E. Rye says, "Hi, thank you so much for all you do to help people. I have completed all the tests except for the food sensitivity test, and I've completed all the protocols as indicated by my health coaches. I follow your daily regimens as well. For the past 3 years, I've been getting salivary gland infections. My MD prescribes antibiotics each year, and these take care of it after the 10 days of treatment. I do not go to the doctor until they are so bad that I cry when I try to eat. These salivary gland stones infections are very painful, and I hate to take antibiotics. I have noticed that they occur in either August or September. This year I made it until October. I take the alkalizing vitamin C and the Hispro, but I did miss some days on the Hispro. I figure they are allergy related since they occur at the same time of the year generally. My doctor isn't very familiar with them and thinks I should see an ENT for possible surgery. I have searched all over the podcast and only found information on tonsil stones. Mine seem to be in the gland under the tongue, but the lymph gland on the left side of the tongue enlarges first each time. Please help me." All right. Let's give you the help that you need and deserve. And I'm glad that you already went back and you looked at tonsil stones. There's a couple of things that I want to look at. It's possible that this is systemic, the whole body, right? And if it's that, then we need to look at overall toxicity. So that's a big part of it. So have you done a 21-day functional medicine detox? That's question number one. The second is, are you getting enough omega-3s? And we're talking about systemic here. And are you doing things to help detox on a daily basis? Dry brushing, sweating, rebounding, anything that can kind of help on a daily basis. This might be congested lymph. That's why I'm asking, right? Go back to my podcast on dry brushing. It's so simple, right? It's 2 minutes before you get in the shower. Go back to my podcast on rebounding, and then go back to my podcast on sweating through sauna. This could be vitally important for you. I also get the feeling that you might be low in magnesium. A lot of stones can get created from calcium, and a lot of those stones would be alleviated if we took enough magnesium in. So check out the full spectrum magnesium. Again, these are not treatment protocols. It's what's coming to mind. Again, I can't give you a diagnosis or treatment protocol. And the last thing is, maybe it's not systemic. Maybe this is localized. Maybe there's an imbalance with pH inside of the mouth. Maybe there's an over-exaggeration of bad bacteria in the mouth, too much anaerobic bacteria. Make sure that you're not doing an alcohol-based mouthwash. No mouthwash. People should not be using mouthwashes. They should really be using oil pulling. So check out my shows on oil pulling. Simply put, you can use sesame oil. I like it better than coconut oil, but you could certainly use coconut oil. And all you want to do is gargle with that. And people ask me like, oh, I can't do it. It takes so much time. I don't have an extra 5-10 minutes in the morning. Honestly, do what I do. Pop it in your mouth just a little bit and hop in the shower with it. So if you take a 5-minute shower, you gurgle it around, you swish around with it in your mouth while you're taking a shower, nasal breathe, get out of the shower, spit in your toilet, you're done. Like, honestly, it can be that easy. You can multitask. And I would look into oil pulling. That's what I would do. And Rye, I wish you the best. And keep getting another opinion as well. Try that out, though. Keep going with it. Keep looking at other imbalances, see what also might infect it, like whether certain foods, is it pineapple, is it high acid foods, kind of check that out, and then just make sure you're taking a good probiotic as well, and that there's no strep bacteria, anything like that in the body. If you haven't run the bacteria and parasite stool test, you might want to do that just to look at bacterial imbalances as well. Okay. Inga is up next. Dear Dr. Cabral, I have another question about my baby. He's currently 16 months old and has never slept through the night. He wakes up 5 to 10 times a night. My pediatrician just said that's what happens with breastfed babies. I find that hard to believe. He wakes up crying and wants to be fed, and he won't take a bottle of pacifier. He co-sleeps with my husband and I. I've tried sound machines, diffusing lavender foods, high in magnesium, taking out gluten dairy from the diet. We tried getting him to sleep in his own crib, hoping that would help, and he cried hard for 5 nights each night in his crib. I really don't know what to do. Thanks for any advice you can give me. I really appreciate you and value your opinion, Inga. Inga, you said 16 months, right? So I know what you're going through. My first daughter, she did not sleep for a strong 10 months. Like 10 months is being generous to her. And of course it was, hard on my wife and I, much more difficult on my wife, of course. She was nursing her. And what we had to do was eventually kind of cut down the time between, and when I say we, I mean really my wife, we had to cut down the time between nursing. So at least it wasn't every 40 minutes, because remember, a baby's, infants, toddlers' sleep cycle is more like 40 minutes rather than 90 minutes like an adult. So that's why you'll see these massive wake ups every 40 minutes, they wake back up, and like when they start to just wake up a little bit out of that light sleep, they should be able to self-soothe and go back to sleep. But sometimes they get in the habit of saying, oh, it's time to nurse again, when really they don't need to be nursing. Now, my daughter was also colicky, and we didn't, again, obviously I did my research, all those things, and we were able to help that a lot with a probiotic called L-Reuteri. We used a liquid L-Reuteri probiotic, and my wife just put that on her breast before she was nursing my oldest daughter, and that helped for sure. Sometimes there's silent reflux, so if they're put on their back, then that's not very, very good. A little bit of ACV in water can sometimes help, but you just want to be careful with that. And so sometimes laying them more on their side, and not everybody feels comfortable with them on their stomach. And then also putting a wrap around the child, that can help sometimes be soothing as well. So those are a bunch of the different things we did. It did work. Luckily to say, now she's a phenomenal sleeper and sleeps for a solid 11, 12 hours a night. It took some time to get there. I certainly know what you're going through, and hopefully those little bit of tips were helpful. All right, Daisy's up next. D-A-I-S-E. Daisy. I think I got it right there. You talked about the importance of hormonal health to burn fat as one of the top 5 factors to burn fat, but you did not explain how to do that. Could you please explain the solution to this problem? How to balance your hormones? Are you saying fatlocity is the answer to the problem? Well, yeah, it's a good question, Daisy. So our fatlocity system, it's an AM and PM nutritional supplement, and that helps to burn more body fat. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's clinically proven on 25 different studies that we have. So that's clinically proven, but that's not our Fatlocity system. No, that is the icing on the cake that allows you to burn body fat more easily. But with Fatlocity comes a course that's completely free. It's a $99 or $297 course technically, but you get it as part of being a Fatlocity customer. So how do you rebalance your hormones? Well, I think that's more than a 2 or 3 minute answer. And that's because you have to understand what's keeping them imbalanced. But the nice thing is if you go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, I have a whole podcast section. Like you can just kind of scroll through the images at the top on balancing hormones. And those are all free, like literally completely free. I have podcasts on seed cycling. I have podcasts on estrogen dominance. I have podcasts on menopausal-based symptoms. I have podcasts on why women lose hair differently than men lose hair differently. And I have all the different things to look at in terms of balance there. I have podcasts on PCOS and hormone imbalance, because when you're talking about rebalancing your hormones, you're looking at blood sugar. You're looking at higher levels of cortisol. You're looking at levels of thyroid that are off. You're looking at nutrient deficiencies. You're looking at stress. So I can't just say, hey, do this, do this, do this. Remember, if it were only that easy, everybody would have it figured out. But the truth is that shouldn't deter you. It just means that rebalancing our body is not as simple as snapping your fingers. It's not as simple as taking one supplement or taking one herb or one vitamin. Oh, this one vitamin solved everything. If you see a marketing campaign like that, well, just know that it's not true. It's just not. There are certainly holistic formulas like a Fatlocity that helps, but I'm not saying that if you don't change your diet, if you don't get rid of the higher estrogenic foods, if you don't work on blood sugar, you're not going to rebalance your hormones. So check out the free podcasts. In about a week or two, I have a whole health results accelerator on rebalancing female hormones that will literally take you from A to Z on what you need to do. And that's about 4 hours or so of in-depth content. And by the end of that, you'll have an action plan. You'll know what to do. You'll get a protocol. I mean, it's pretty fantastic. So literally, I like to give people whatever works for them. Read the Rain Barrel Effect. Well, first do this. Free podcasts. Read the Rain Barrel Effect. It's basically free. It's a book that I wrote on rebalancing the body and getting rid of all of those toxins that can lead to estrogen imbalances. 100% of all the profits from that book go to charity. The podcast is free. And then if you want to go up one more level, you'll do the Female Hormones Rebalancing Health Results Accelerator. And then, of course, if you want to take it to the highest level, you can join the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute. So those are all the different levels. Again, like I'm here to help. Let me know what works for you. All right. Thank you for writing in, Daisy. And I apologize, of course, if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. All right. Megan's up next. Is Megan our last question? Yes, Megan is our last question. Hello, Dr. Cabral. I've had incredible transformation through your protocols. Now have an integrative health baby. I am an IHP level 1 and currently enrolled in IHP level 2 and will be one of your supporters for life. My question is regarding the product called Ion Gut Health by Dr. Zach Bush. The main ingredient is Terrahydrite, which shows it helps restores cellular tight junction integrity. It's based on beneficial enzymes through redox signaling and promoting lysine production. Are you aware of this product in terms of healing leaky gut and your thoughts on it? I know you are supportive of the integrative ingredients within the Healthy Gut Support product, but keen to hear whether you've come across Terrahydrite in your research. Many thanks in advance. Megan, I have seen this product. I think Dr. Zach Bush is great. I really do. A lot of his work is on soil and soil integrity and farming, and I think he's fantastic, no doubt about it. Personally, I would not use this product alone. If you wanted to use this product, which contains fulvic and humic acids. So remember, I've talked about this already previously. I just haven't named his product. Like there's lots of products out there with that. You can go to stephencabral.com/podcast and just type in HUMIC or FULVIC, humic and fulvic acid, and you'll be able to see, of course, all the great things that happen with that too. I would just never use this product as a standalone. I think there's way better research on L-glutamine and zinc and N-acetylglucosamine and aloe vera and marshmallow root and the one I just talked about over the past week, which is quercetin, especially if your leaky gut is caused by higher levels of mast cells or histamine production. And then again, a product like that is just not going to do anything for those things. So I think it could be a great add-on. So what I would do is I would do the healthy gut support powder as my number one. Like, so for example, like let's just say it's my wife and I need to figure out like, what are the best products I could do for her? All right. Healthy gut support powder is number one. The daily probiotic or the clean gut probiotic would be number two. And the third product is going to be something like Hispro for the higher levels of quercetin in it. Then if I could pick another one, would I do bone broth or would I do the tetrahydrite or the fulvic acids? Because the tetrahydrite is just a trademarked ingredient. It's a great question. It's a great question. What would I do? What would I do? Well, I would do prebiotics next, to be honest with you. But you can get your prebiotics by food. So there's that. You know, I would probably go with a product more like Dr. Bush's as an add-on one. And that's because so many people also have issues with sulfur. And if I were to add in bone broth, a lot of people would be dealing with a lot of high histamine issues. So I wouldn't do that just because I know there's a lot of sensitive people, such as myself, with high sulfur foods just because of genetics. So hopefully that answers your question. Thank you for writing in. I appreciate all of your questions. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Tune back in then. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.